All right, good afternoon. How are you guys? I hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to another edition of Nail School. I want to be able to show you something pretty amazing. This is Core White Sparkle. This came in the large mystery box, right? I want to be able to show you what this looks like and what you can do with it, which is absolutely amazing. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to remove the shine from the surface of the nail. I'm going to use my arbor band to lightly tickle away the shine from corner to corner. So for those of you guys who invested in an electric file for this Black Friday, I'm fired up for you. This is going to change the way that you prep as well as finish. Okay, so once we're done removing shine, I'm going to be using Swipe. I'm going to come in, we're going to remove shine from the surface of the nail. And then what we want to be able to do is use Protein Bond, right? So we're going to use a nice even coat from cuticle to free edge, and then as soon as I'm done, I'm going to apply a second coat. So you're going to go through all 10 nails, and then as soon as you're done doing 10 nails, what we're going to do is apply a second coat. Okay, so we're going to build a foundation to something amazing. I'm going to use my form. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-pinch the tip just like this, okay? And now the key is, again, once you get it onto the edge, you're going to see my hand. I'm going to be able to rotate it up so that the form, and you can see from the side profile, it almost looks like the very, very tip of the form is slightly higher than the tip, right? But that's okay, because as you build a square extension, if you build something that's tapered like this, right, you want to be able to build that lower arch so it's absolutely straight coming off the side just like this. Now, in order to do that, what we have to be able to do is pick up a bead that's going to be conducive to control. And what I mean by that is you have to have something that's not going to run all over the place. So I need to submerge my brush. I need to lightly press on one side. And you're going to notice that when I go into the powder, I'm going to be able to pick up a nice clean bead just like this. Now what I like to do is I'm going to drain off the back end of the pearl, right? You can see it's on one side of my brush. This is going to allow me to basically come down, release from the tip of my brush. And then what I could do is from the top, I could walk it all the way to the corner. Boom. And I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Notice walking all the way up to the corner. So once I have it even from side to side, the remaining balance, I'll be able to use the body of my brush, and I'll be able to, again, I'm working it this way, right? So I'm using the body of my brush to walk it down. I could lightly kind of pull it to stretch it into the desired not only shape but length as well. So we're going to try to go for, again, a really decent kind of tapered square, more of a coffin-shaped nail. And as you can see, I'm walking from the surface. I don't put it down and walk it to the side then try to push it up to the corner. I'm always walking it from the surface to the corner and then back over the top, right, so that I'm able to get something that has a very, very even structure from side to side. And then again, pulling it to get the desired length and shape so that we end up with something that, again, is going to be, as you can see, in a really tight coffin shape. Okay, so what we want to be able to do now is we want to be able to complete the body, right, so that it looks like this. Now, in order to do that, we have to be able, again, to get a nice, healthy amount, right? And again, I don't want you guys to just set your brush in the powder just like this. If you set your brush inside the powder, sometimes it ends up falling back inside. You don't want to be able to do that. You want to be able to submerge your brush. I want to be able to pull down and then bounce inside the powder. Now, I need to wait. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and then at 4, I'm going to slowly release. This is going to allow me to use the tip of the brush to lightly walk around the perimeter as the bead starts to move down towards the stress area. Once it gets past the stress area, then I can start to use the tip of my brush to lightly start feathering it from the front end of the pearl. Now, what I'm trying to do is maintain that beautiful upper arch. I don't want to just start pulling it. If you start pulling it, what you're going to end up doing is making the nail way too flat. As it starts to set, right, I can start feathering it slightly more, right? You can see how everything is starting to pull down into the tip, right? And again, I have a very, very workable consistency where it's not sticking to my brush. It's allowing me to come down and pull all the way through the body. You can see that beautiful sparkle that's inside the white. You guys are going to love this. This is going to be great for the holiday season, all the way again through the winter. You guys are going to be able to do some really amazing things. So you can see like all that shallow amount of acrylic right here, right? You notice I'm walking over the top, putting pressure. For me to fill it, I'm going to submerge my brush. I'm now going to pick up, again, a nice healthy amount. You can choose to drain from the back end of the brush. Look where I'm going to set it. In between, right, the tip and where there is negative space. And then I'm going to pull back. Now, what I want to be able to do is I'm going to use the body of the brush, kind of walk it up into the body, but then again, I'm not pulling anything down. What I want to be able to do is walk it down all the way to the tip to fill all that negative space in. So once this is complete, then what we can do is we can file this into shape. You can see how straight my sides are going to be. If I'm looking at it from the top end, right? If I'm looking at this from the top end, it doesn't matter, again, whether or not it's off center, right? And what I mean by that is, let's say it's slightly curved right here or slightly curved right here. What we will be able to do with this is use our hand file, again, as you can see, to get connection to the side, and again, connection to the side, right? So this is what you're going to be able to do in order to file this into perfection. Now, if you're working with a white like this, and let's say that you're a little shallow, and I want to show you something, right? You can see how built up the free edge is right here. But let's say you're shallow from this point to this point. What you can do is you can get a small bead, okay? What I can do is I could set it down right here. Now, I don't want to just start brushing it forward. I'm going to use the tip of my brush, and I'm just going to lightly kind of poke at the back end. So what that's going to do is it's going to make it flush here. Then what I can do is I can lightly start pulling from the front end of the bead. So notice that it leaves the thickness where I place it. At this point, I can start using kind of the body of the brush to walk it over the top and side to side. I don't want to just start brushing it, because then what's going to end up happening is I'm going to end up pulling it off of the nail, right? You can see what I've been able to do is kind of fill in a little bit of that space, and even if it dries slightly off, not a big deal. What we're going to be able to do is file this into perfection when it's done. Okay, so what I did was I went ahead and filed one into shape. I went ahead and got my sides really, really straight. I went ahead and filed this into perfection. This was the final stage of actually me making sure that the shape was perfect. I wanted to just show you guys what this looked like, so I didn't have to spend a ton of time filing this into perfection, but you're going to notice what this looks like. All right, let's go ahead and use my sponge. All right, so the reason why I did this is it really sets you up for an amazing design, right? So you can see, right, the level of sparkle in the nail, right? Look at that right there, that real fine kind of glitter is going to set you up for some amazing design work. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're now going to do a couple designs, and I feel this is like a great way of kind of creating a smoky neon background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the really bright neon paints that you guys either got or are going to get. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dab them onto the surface. All right, so we'll get some of the neon pink and the striper. Let's go ahead and get this beautiful green. I'm just going to set that right here. Boom. And then let's go ahead with that right here. Boom. And then let's go ahead and get some of the blue. All right, so I'm just gonna, again, I'm just dabbing a few spots out. The yellow is absolutely amazing. Let's go ahead and grab that as well. All right, so, and the reason why I'm doing this is because we want to be able to try to create a background that you're going to be able to paint on, and a little bit of orange, right? So we have a combination of all four of the colors, right? 5 really intense neon type colors. When you're working, once you're done finishing the surface of the nail, what I'm going to do is use a little bit of protein bond around the edge and through the surface. This will prevent any of the gel paint from chipping off of the surface. Okay, so I'm also going to use, again, let's go ahead and take, right, some of the really intense cream clay, right? So we have a really bright, we're going to use Secret Menu, which is this really intense version. And then I'm going to take my gel brush, and what we want to be able to do, right, is just kind of, and just paint on a really kind of shallow, intense background. And again, I'm only coating the surface. All the white's going to do is make the neons much brighter. So just going to brush on a real thin coat over the surface. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go inside the light. And as you can see, I'm just setting it inside for a minimum of 30 seconds. Okay, so what we want to be able to do, you could either use a makeup sponge or you could use, right, basically a wipe. And what I want to be able to do is I want to be able just to kind of dab it, right, just like this. Okay, just going to kind of scrunch it up, right, so that we're going to be able to create that awesome background. And what we want to be able to do, again, here, let me just get in so that you guys can see. Let's go ahead and just take a little bit of this, and then what we want to be able to do is just kind of sponge on, boom, a little bit of this. And what we want to be able to create is a really kind of, like just a really kind of smoky type of background. Let's get some of the green neon and just kind of get that on. You can see it kind of looks like a watercolor effect, which is totally badass, right? And that's the thing too, is you're going to be able to do that. If you have the white down, it just makes it like unbelievable. Okay, so just around the edge here, you're going to notice that the yellow around the pink is just kind of blending in. This is a great kind of tie-dye effect. Get a little bit more kind of green, just kind of being careful, boom, around the edge. And if you do get it kind of around, I would say use that effect. But you can see what it looks like, which I absolutely love, coming through, just kind of, adding just a little bit more, a little bit blue around the edges. And you can see how we're going to create this really wicked background, right? And that's just using this to kind of dab it on to create that effect. All right, so we're going to go inside the light, right? We're going to go ahead and set that again for a minimum of 30 seconds. Then I want to be able to show you guys, for those of you guys that got yourself these brushes, the number one is going to be a really fine detailer brush. This is going to be great for you to be able to paint out real fine lines. I have a number 4 in here as well. I want to show you guys. Boom. So this is a little bit, this is pointed, but this is going to give you guys the ability to kind of dab in the excess. So let's go ahead and take that background. And if we decided that we wanted to paint in some lines, let me go ahead and come down. All right, let's go ahead and get ourselves, all right, you're going to be able to get, this black cream clay is unbelievable as well, but I want to be able to show you, right, for those of you guys that got the, the mystery box, you're going to notice that this also comes, right, this gel brush as well comes with the spatula. So if I just get a little bit of that cream clay, I just get it onto the surface. You can also use, right, so this is great because you're going to notice that if I just barely touch the tip, of that, I'm going to be able, as you can see, paint in really fine lines with that detailer brush. What you could also do as well is you can take the black. Let me go ahead and just grab that real fast because this has a little bit more. This or the Mission Control as well, but it's nice because just by dabbing off some of that paint right here, this is going to be a great filler. I like the cream clay because I'm going to be able to paint in some tight lines. So if I was using this, right, you can see I'm just kind of running this through the tip. If I was going to do any type of real fine line work, so if I'm going to go from corner to center, I just want to kind of keep the tip of my brush vertical as much as I possibly can, but you can see how you're going to be able to kind of trace that out. And then what we can do is could do the same thing on the opposite side, just like you, and you can see how much paint this holds just by touching the very end of the tip. And then from the very top, I want to be able to outline whatever I'm going to be putting in. Normally when you outline it, what you want to be able to do is try to keep the brush as vertical as you possibly can. And then that way you'll notice, like if you're actually coming in and you're trying to paint in, say, really kind of concentric circles, I could use the very tip, as you can see, just to kind of move those into place. And all I'm doing is just using the very tip of my brush to work again in a circle from a vertical standpoint. I don't want to use the side of the brush to be able to do that. All we're going to do is, again, touch, and then you're going to notice that it loads it up and it allows me to do a lot of tracing. For all you artists out there that are really excited about, you know, being able to paint in certain looks, this is a great way for you to be able to do that. And I'm trying to keep my brush as vertical as I can to be able to paint these really tight circles, bubbles. And then what we can do, just to, like, you know, for those of you guys, again, that have invested, this is a great way of actually flash curing your design so that you don't have to physically stick it inside the light every single time. As you can see, I just have it under that. I just have it right underneath. This is going to allow you to just kind of set the design. So like if I have it just right underneath, right, it sets it, and it's not going to move. What we want to be able to do in the end is obviously we want to be able to paint or we want to be able to cure it inside the light for the full amount of time. But here, this is great. Now, this brush right here, which is awesome, like if I needed to come in, I'm going to go to the paint from the striper brush, and you can see how I'm actually going to be able to use this brush just to kind of fill in the space. And that's going to be great. You know, again, I'm not going to use the little detailer, because if I'm using the detailer, I'm not going to be able to fill in all that. Imagine trying to fill in using the detailer. I'm not going to be able to fill in all that. Imagine trying to fill in space with all of this. It's kind of crazy. So as much as we possibly can, what you want to be able to do, and then if you have to do some slight detailing, we can do that. I'm just kind of coming in and kind of filling that out. And then again, with the real tight areas, I could come in and then just kind of highlight that. And all that's going to do is, you can see, just kind of fills it in. Some really cool things you can do just with a little bit of negative space. Just trying to get that as tight as we can. But the neon paint is awesome. It really is going to create a really kind of tight background. You can see I'm just kind of filling in the bubbles on the bottom end. Looks sick. Boom. All right. So many things you can do and decorate. Again, if this top line is set, you're going to notice if I needed to go with a larger brush, we can go with a number 3. Let me just break that out. Right, so the number 3 is a much longer, right? So if I had to come in and I had to get the full body, then I would be able to do that. And if I needed to kind of thicken out the edges, I will definitely be able, as you can see, to be able to do that instead of using that real tiny brush. Boom, just like this, all the way through, being just, again, keeping contact, right, to accentuate. And then let's go ahead and go, freeze that inside the light. As you can see, I'm just freezing it. I'm just setting it inside. Don't have to do anything crazy. And then once it's set, we're going to have to cure it inside the light for the full cycle. All right, so I have it frozen, and then again, this is just a very basic kind of design, just outlining the edges. For those of you guys that have mad painting skills, you're going to notice just by taking the finish gel and going over the top, I'm not going to pull any of my paint, which is huge. But having the ability to create a wicked background with this powder is going to set you up so that when you're doing the paint on the surface, it's going to really shine bright. All right, cool. Wanted to share some insight on how you guys are going to be able to use some of the new products and create some real cool looks, how you're going to be able to get fine detail. Definitely looking forward to getting back on TikTok this week for more nail school. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up. Look who just walked in. There's Tracy. Yes. Let us know how we can help you guys in any way when it comes to technique, fundamentals, education. The goal is to give you guys, again, the right basically knowledge and fundamentals so it can help you guys take your nail game to a whole nother level. Appreciate you guys much. We'll see you guys in the next episode of Nail School. Have a great day. Peace.
Subscribe channel now. Subscribe channel now. Subbing and subscribing and